When Sussan Ley took over the leadership of the Liberal Party and the coalition, I'm not sure anyone was expecting she was going to have an easy ride. Ley and ScoMo Light narrowly defeated the Angus Taylor and Jacinta Nampijinpa Price tag team, demonstrating just how bare the Liberal Party stocks had become. By the way, I never got to talk about this piece of cringe-inducing cinema the pair put out when Angus and Jacinta were taking a run on the top jobs. Well, probably more accurate to say that Angus ran and Jacinta chickened out, but potato, potato. But back to Sussan Ley and her leadership. Look, I expected her to outlast a lettuce, but I didn't have a high degree of confidence in her holding on as the opposition leader to contest the next election. This is me back in May. You'd have to think that Sussan Ley is long odds to be opposition leader by the time the next election comes around, based purely on the amount of post-leadership announcement rumblings that have come out in recent days. The Libs would be better served ignoring rather than courting Sky News if they are serious about rebuilding their brand. I still reckon that holds pretty true. When Sussan Ley successfully took hold of the Liberal Party, there were plenty of questions around whether or not this was the glass cliff effect in play. And the way things are currently playing out, it's hard to argue that that's not the case. I mean, the vultures have been circling from day one.
The division in the federal Liberals is this morning being laid bare as one of the most senior women in the party conceded she doesn't know how long Sussan Ley will last as leader.
How long do you give her?
I don't know. I mean, a day's a long time in politics, Carl, so...
That's not exactly a ringing endorsement.
Not much confidence there.
Well, you know, it could be a day. It won't be a day, I'm being cheeky. But, I mean, look, you don't know what the political tides will bring.
Ouch. That's pretty... It's not the most ringing endorsement I've heard.
It's probably safe to say that when it came to finding a replacement for Peter Dutton, Sussan Ley was not the preferred choice of the Brains Trust over at Sky News.
Harsh critics have said that Sussan Ley, the new leader, is Malcolm Turnbull in a skirt. Maybe that's going too far, I don't know.
And things are only going from bad to worse, with smaller Liberal Sussan Ley as leader. What a shock that Malcolm Turnbull in a skirt is not resonating with the electorate.
You'd have to agree, surely, that she is a placeholder. She's not someone who provides any threat to Albanese at all.
She is holding the party back. She is not the answer. They need change right from the top.
They have to replace Sussan Ley. I'm sorry, I've said it before. They have to replace Sussan Ley. I'm sorry. She's got to go. You need a hard, strong, aggressive political leader.
The federal Liberal Party has been reduced to an insipid rabble, lacking an identity or purpose. And it's a reflection of its leader, Sussan Ley, who doesn't know what she stands for or believes in.
Never mind though, because it looks like they have found someone that they're willing to throw their support behind.
Andrew Hastie would be great. This guy is one of your best assets. He is a veteran. He is an actual veteran. He's the absolute model for what you want.
He is the sort of political leader ordinary Australians are crying out for.
In Andrew Hastie, the usual suspects have someone to back that appears happy to fight some culture wars and, more importantly, push to dump net zero.
Get them on your bins.
Do you think that policy should be reviewed, your commitment to net zero by 2050?
The question of net zero, again, that's a straitjacket that I'm already getting out of. The real question is, should Australian families and businesses be paying more for their electricity?
And I guess you're hoping then the coalition comes to an anti-net zero policy.
Well, I assume I'm in the majority, but given that we just suffered a massive loss at the election, given that we're going through a process of revisiting policy, I've spoken my mind, but I'm probably in the minority, and that's okay. But I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't fight for a better deal for the Australian people.
That alone will ensure it has the backing of Sludge Factory Advance and the elites that back them, as well as Trump fangirl Gina Rinehart. In reflecting on the coalition's hiding at the 2025 election, Hastie took the pretty bizarre view that it was actually Labor and not the coalition that were the ones deploying Trump-style politics. Yeah, I don't know about that.
Make Australia great again.
We're starting to see people saying, you know what, this Prime Minister, he's weak, he's woke, and he's sending us broke, as Advance is making very clear.
It's actually quite revealing, I think, that in campaigning, Hastie actually distanced himself from the Liberal Party, removing the Liberal Party brand from his shirts and billboards and minimising references to Dutton and the nuclear policy. I guess instincts for self-preservation kicked in. Look, I think Hastie would be a great pick if you wanted to push the party further to the right, that is. I think one of the reasons the Sky Boffins are so pro-Hastie is that they see him as a new, rebooted version of Tony Abbott.
Are you a climate sceptic? And clearly you'll be pushing hard for the coalition to dump net zero, I take it.
Well, what's a climate sceptic? First of all, Andrew, seeing we're just getting on the same page. It's
okay. Do you think
6:45 here?
Do you think climate change is real? Do you think it's occurring?
Yeah, the climate's been changing throughout. Of course, the climate change has been occurring throughout history. The question is, how much does Australia have a role in changing the climate when we produce 1.1% of the world's emissions? We export 25% of the world's coal. We export 20% of the world's liquefied natural gas to the biggest emitters like China, India, Japan and other countries. In the Asia-Pacific region alone, the uptake of fossil fuels is increasing as it did last year. So the question is, what should we do about it? Should we transfer our heavy industry, Australian jobs, offshore? Should we demand that the Australian people pay more for their power bills? Should we actually orchestrate a massive transfer of wealth through our tax system so that Australians are paying more for their power? And I think that's fundamentally unjust and it's hypocritical, and that's why I've called out Labor on this.
Andrew Hastie is not a supporter of net zero. For that matter, I'm not actually sure he believes in human-induced climate change. Creationism? Sure.
Maybe.
Climate change? Maybe a bridge too far.
Net zero is communism. Be really clear on this fact.
At the moment, Advance are pushing hard to shape the future of the Liberal Party, threatening Liberal politicians who won't publicly back dumping net zero. Don't forget, though, that it was the coalition that committed Australia to net zero in the first place.
Our plan to reach what will be our new official target of reaching net zero emissions by 2050, our plan gets the balance right.
Barnaby Joyce, who coincidentally was Deputy Prime Minister when the Coalition announced their commitment to net zero, has now introduced a private members bill to repeal it. Normally the government of the day would prevent the debate of any private members bills, but on this one, Labor will be more than happy for the Coalition to have the net zero debate. No doubt because it'll air all the Coalition's dirty laundry and perhaps divide the already dysfunctional Coalition even more. Let them cook, I guess.
One of the top contenders for the Liberal leadership, Andrew Hastie, has announced he won't put his hand up for the position.
Look, Andrew Hastie had a chance to run for the leadership back in May, but he chose not to.
You decided not to run for leader. Why not?
Timing is really important in political life, and the most important thing to me is my marriage and my children. And I need to provide leadership to the Liberal Party in whatever form that takes.
Allow me to translate. That's political speak for, I think the Coalition have a snowball's chance in hell at the next election, and I don't want to burn all my capital on a fight I can't win. I'd rather let someone else take the heat for a while and bide my time.
But I'm not going to lie to you and say I don't have any ambition to lead. Of course I do. But timing in politics is everything. And right now, Sussan Ley is our leader, and we're doing everything we can to build a platform to win the next election.
This is my leader.
There you go.
And I'm ambitious for him.
Yeah, good on you. Thanks, ScoMo.
I've got no doubt that if there's an opening and a realistic chance of the Coalition having success at the ballot box, then Hastie will jump at it. Expect to see calls for Andrew Hastie to take the reins of the Liberal Party to grow louder. He's the culture warrior the Liberals cheerleaders think they need. But if anyone thinks a hyper-conservative like Hastie is the solution to the Coalition's problems, I'm not really sure they've been paying attention. And if the Coalition allow themselves to be shaped by the Sky After Dark crew and Advance, then I'm not sure they were paying attention to what voters told them last election either.